Hey everyone, and welcome to Backseat Sports. I'm Josh, and this is Caleb. Obviously, we'll get this out of the way. We're not in the same room. I know. I'm out in Ohio. He's out in Nebraska. But we're making this because we're diehard Husker fans, and we want to bring awesome content for you guys on the channel. So I hope you guys are ready for it because we're ready for the season. It's going to be intense.
Separate places, separate views, but the same awesome content.
So before we get into it, I just want to let everybody know what our schedule is for the season. We're going to be pumping out videos every week for the upcoming Husker opponents, and we're also going to be covering college football as a whole. So there's going to be a lot of great content on the channel. It would be great to see you guys around. So subscribe, hit that button right down below, turn on notifications so you don't miss a video. But let's get right into the predictions and what's going to happen this season. In this video, we're going to cover the goals for the year. Then we'll go game by game with a few keys to each game. And then we'll give overall predictions, of what we think the record will be and how we'll finish. So it's going to be a good one. Let's get into it.
Goals for the year. I think it's the same goals that we have every year. Be first in the West, make it to the Big Ten Championship. I mean, that's the big thing every year. Mike Riley promised it. Would be competing for championships. That's our goal. Win the West and get to the Big Ten Championship game. And then the goal is to compete. That means we go to a BCS bowl game. Our goal is that we will win that BCS bowl game, on a large stage. And that would be a big win this year for the Huskers.
Obviously, at the end of the day, the only way we're going to make it to the Big Ten Championship is if we beat Wisconsin and then take care of business throughout the conference. I mean, the Wisconsin game will be the tiebreaker. We'll get into that later once we talk about the Wisconsin game itself, but just a little heads up, that's important.
Exactly. So now we're going to dive in game by game. And obviously the first guys on our schedule is Arkansas State.
You may not know much about them. They're a small team in a small conference. They're in the Sun Belt, but they're actually expected to be one of the best teams in the conference. They're ranked 86th nationally, actually, which is pretty respectable for a small conference team like that. And they have a nasty pass rusher by the name of Javon Rollin-Jones. And he's absolutely a monster, 13.5 sacks last year. The key for us will be to stop him and keep Tanner Lee on his feet.
Gerald Foster, the captain, will be dealing with him this year. So we'll definitely get to see where he's at right away this year. And the O-line in general, Nick Gates and company. So that'll be exciting. Being the first game, I hope to see Nebraska get off to a quick start. That's kind of been one of Mike Riley's things we haven't been able to do. We always have a slow start, slow half, and then we can kind of get into our comfortable offense. But I'm hoping that this year we can just jump start right off the season on a good note and be able to pass the ball, run the ball, and enforce our will on a definitely lesser team.
For sure. And it's always in a game like this, it's important not to make those big mistakes. Don't allow the pick six. Don't allow the punt return for a touchdown. Those are the things that you don't want to give to a small team. You don't want to give them that energy and that momentum. So don't make those big mistakes, and we should be fine.
All right, next big game, biggest non-conference game by a mile, Oregon in Nike Land. This will be an exciting game to really get to see where Nebraska's at.
Actually, based off of betting odds, they're actually favored ahead of us just by a little bit, though. We're probably going to head in as the underdog on the road in Eugene. So it's going to be a good game. Once again, the keys in a big road game like that is to don't make mistakes early. Play confident, play composed, and do your job, especially in that first half. You don't want to get behind and have to play from behind, especially on the road in Eugene.
Exactly. I mean, last year, all of our losses that Nebraska took were on the road. We won all of our home games. So we're going to have to get a lot better on the road if we're going to be a really good competitive team that's looking to get to the Big Ten Championship.
Yeah, one positive for the Huskers, obviously, is that Mike Riley is very comfortable playing against Oregon, in Oregon, especially as he was, the head coach of Oregon State before. So hopefully he has, a little bit insider information, maybe something that we can go off of. We beat him last year, obviously. That helps. And it's going to be a good game. So hopefully we can walk away with the W. Like I said, we'll do our predictions of what we're going to do and if we think that we're going to win at the end of this video. So stick around. Week 3, Northern Illinois comes into Memorial Stadium after our game against Oregon, obviously. Northern Illinois had a rough year last year in the MAC. There's not too much to say about this one, besides the fact that we got to take advantage of their poor pass defense, as it was ranked as one of the worst in the MAC last year. We need to get to the quarterback.
And so that battle right there in the trenches is going to be a really big key for us against Northern Illinois. Their best players on their team are their offensive lineman and their running back.
Yep.
Northern Illinois has had a pretty perennially good offensive line and running back. That's kind of their identity in the MAC.
Yeah, they have a really rocky quarterback situation. They started 4 quarterbacks last year. That's just terrible. And this year, we're going to be starting a redshirt sophomore who only has 4 career starts. If we can rattle him early, keep him unsettled, keep him on his feet, maybe he can make some mistakes, and that's what we'll capitalize on.
So next, Rutgers is coming into Memorial Stadium. The key for that game is going to be special teams. They have the top-ranked kick returner, punt returner in Janarian Grant. He's going to be a big trouble, and last year, our special teams really suffered. We're going to have to do a really good job at special teams, and we're going to need to see a big improvement on that.
After Rutgers, we head to Illinois, and not too much to say about this game besides Malik Turner, who's a stud wide receiver for Illinois. He was injured last year, but he's a preseason potential All-American this year, and it's obviously something to look out for. Our secondary has some questions because of injuries, at the cornerback position, so we'll see how that works out this year. But if we can, keep their offense and passing game in check, as long as we can keep our minds on Illinois and not looking forward to Wisconsin and Ohio State, we should be in good shape.
All right, next we head to the biggest game of the season, as it is every year. Nebraska gets to have Wisconsin this year. We get to host those guys. What can we not say? I mean, it's the battle for the Big Ten West. One of the big dangers is Fumagale, just a great tight end. He killed us last year. He was a stud, had a ton of yards on us.
It very likely could be a primetime game. At the end of the day, we're just going to have to keep composure. We've really struggled in these big primetime games in the past. We all know. For a guy like Tanner Lee, it's going to be his first massive test of the season against an elite defense. Hopefully, the team will be able to stay composed and, move the ball and do things that we have to do.
The last time we beat Wisconsin, we went to the Big Ten Championship game, and that was 2012.
So after Wisconsin, we have, it's in a bye week basically after that. It's so easy. All we got is Ohio State. No big deal. Just an easy game, just the average Buckeye rolling into town. But no, for real, it's obviously going to be the biggest test of the year. They are an absolutely elite team, elite coaching, an elite roster. They got 5-star recruits who aren't even playing at this point. Coming into Memorial Stadium, it's going to be loud, probably a primetime game once again.
Our goal is just to compete. I mean, I'd like to score more than 3 points. I think that's a good starting point.
I mean, at the end of the day, you just have to contain JT Barrett in that offense, because they're going to be absolutely elite. They're going to be a juggernaut. I think a key is going to be our linebackers controlling the flats and controlling the outside. If they can get to the edge in our 3-4 system, that's going to be an absolute key. And we'll see if our athleticism can keep up with the offense of Ohio State. So after the bye week and after we head to Purdue, we have Northwestern at home. So instead of having the red in Northwestern, we got the red in Memorial Stadium. Northwestern actually could be a tricky game this year. They return almost all 22 starters, which is something you almost never see in college football. Pat Fitzgerald always does a great job of keeping their team well coached and well prepared and focused.
Hype.
And hype. They always seem to have a lot of energy. It's going to be a good game. It's one that Nebraska can't sleep on.
A couple years ago, the quarterback had like a couple 60-yard runs, and he wasn't really a running quarterback. Hopefully our 3-4 defense can swallow some of that up, limit big plays, especially against Northwestern. Next, Nebraska goes to Minnesota to go face those Gophers, get the Bits of Broken Chair trophy. Mike Riley and coaching staff really has not had a problem against Minnesota, and this year with the coaching staff changing to PJ Fleck, really not returning a lot, don't have a ton of talent to begin with. Contain their running backs. They have 2 pretty decent running backs in Rodney Smith and Shannon Brooks. So just be able to swallow up that tandem.
After a game in Minnesota, we have to head to Penn State, and that's going to be a tough one. They have 2 Heisman contenders in Chase McSorley and in Shaquan Barkley. I mean, their quarterback and their running back, they have a prolific offense, and their defense is nothing to mess with either. They won the Big Ten last year, and they didn't lose that many pieces. So they're going to be absolutely insane this year. It's going to be a nasty Big Ten East debacle with all those teams right at the top. So it's going to be a tough game for us. A key is, on the road in a big game like this, probably a primetime game once again, you have to win the turnover battle. And it's something that we have not done in big-time games on the road. It's something that we have to do this year.
We're sounding like a broken record, but it's just so important. I mean, Happy Valley is just a crazy place. Their fans are crazy. I don't think we're going to get the whiteout game, thank goodness, or else, I mean, it's almost an automatic loss. We've won there before. Nebraska is historically better than them, but they are just all but too much to handle. I mean, they beat Ohio State last year and have a good chance again this year. I think them and Ohio State are just on a whole nother tier of eliteness.
And then our final game is against Iowa. As always, the old Iowa. My goodness, have they been an issue for Nebraska these last few years? And at the end of the day, it could be the difference in whether or not we make the Big Ten Championship. So it could all come down to this game.
On Black Friday, hopefully the black shirts show up. Last year they did not. It was a 40-10 loss.
Yeah, embarrassing. It really was embarrassing.
Iowa is trolling us online. I mean, that's horrible. The fan base is getting trolled by Iowa. They don't have CJ Beathard this year. That's nice. They don't have Desmond King on their defense. So they lost their two best players on both sides of the ball. But still, Kirk Ferentz, he does weird things. When he's supposed to underachieve, he overachieves. And when he's supposed to overachieve, he underachieves. So,
I mean, at the end of the day, you just have to take care of business.
Alrighty, so lastly, me and Josh are going to do our predictions before the season starts. To let you guys know where we're at and what we think Nebraska is going to do this year. We're just going to highlight the losses. I believe Nebraska is going to go 8-4 this year. I just don't think the pieces are going to fully click together yet. We have a lot of new in transition. New quarterback, new coaches, new defensive system. We're going to end up losing to Oregon just because we're not going to be quite into our own yet. Second, we're going to lose to Wisconsin. I hate saying it. I'd love to beat them. And then obviously Ohio State. Hopefully it's a competitive game, but I think they're going to beat us. And then finally Penn State. Just at Penn State is so tough. It's a tough place to play. We're just not very good on the road. And just with Chase McSorley and Shaquan Barkley.
So do you think we're going to finish second in the West then?
Yeah, I think we'll finish second. It'll go Wisconsin, us, Iowa.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's reasonable. I understand that. Personally, I actually believe we'll beat Oregon, and we'll go 9-3. I have the same losses as Caleb does with Wisconsin, Ohio State, and Penn State. As much as I hate saying it, I would love if we could beat at least one of those three. But when you're playing in Penn State that against a team that's that elite at this point, it's going to be tough to win. Ohio State, they're a top 5 team in the country. It'd be hard for any team to beat them, let alone Nebraska right now with a defense that I don't think is going to be that great this year. As much as I love Bob Diaco and the system that he's bringing in, I don't think we have the right pieces for it to be an elite defense. And against Ohio State and against Wisconsin and against Penn State, you need the elite defense to make the games competitive.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can't wait for the day when we can say, you know, Nebraska's going 12-0 this year and we're winning it all.
For sure.
That'll be the day. You know, we could go 10-2, but I just don't see it happening this year. Maybe Tanner Lee is he's a first-round draft pick.
He's the wild card.
And he's a gunslinger. I mean, he does have some upside, but I think 8-4, 9-3 is probably what we're looking forward.
Worst case scenario, 7-5. Best case scenario, 10-2. I don't think it's possible that we beat more than one of Wisconsin, Ohio State, and Penn State, but I don't think it's logical that we lose more than 5 games at all either. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Yeah. It's going to be an interesting year. I would love to see if our defense can, really rally and be better than what it looks like it's going to be. And it would be awesome to see if Tanner Lee could be an elite quarterback in the country and potentially, hopefully he wouldn't leave after a year, but it would be great to see his stock rise in the draft and him be really, really a great quarterback.
So in this video, we talked a lot about Nebraska and what it needs to do to be successful this season. Our large keys are don't turn over the ball, that we can start off fast, and that our defense can rise above what it's expected this year. If we do that, Nebraska can have a very successful season, and it could be a fun team to watch. If you liked our content, like, comment, favorite, and subscribe. To keep watching our awesome Husker videos that we're going to be giving out weekly. I'm Caleb, he's Josh, and this has been Backseat Sports, and we'll see you next video.
Adios.
Riley's offensive system worked this year.
Obviously, we've seen what Mike Riley's system can do these last 2 years with that West Coast style, pro style kind of offense. So Mike Riley's run the ball 50